Good evening, I'm Chamut Fernando bringing you the news in detail.
The news headlines on Gold FM.
In your news headlines, generator at Norachole power plant deactivated for maintenance. Sajid warns of potential for public to bear substandard coal import costs despite POCSL assurance. US failed to gain the trust of Iranian delegation, says Iranian speaker. Stalled talks spell trouble for Iran, warns US's warns. Indian Ocean on edge after ship attack near Sri Lanka. The golden voice of Asha Bhosle no more.
The top story on Gold FM.
One generator at the Norachole Lakvijaya coal power plant is deactivated due to a maintenance issue. A spokesperson for the power plant stated that electricity generation proceeds via the second and third generators based on requirement. The Norachole power plant, which provides the largest contribution to the national electricity grid, consists of 3 main generators. Each generator produces a capacity of 300 megawatts of electricity, and the total contribution provided by the plant to the national system is 900 megawatts. Meanwhile, the Public Utilities Commission decided that only reasonable costs related to the generation, transmission and distribution of electricity will influence tariff adjustments. This decision ensures that expenses stemming from coal quality issues or other unjustified costs remain outside the scope of consumer pricing. The Commission previously rejected additional costs linked to coal quality and other unreasonable expenditures during the last tariff review. Following a unanimous decision, the PUCSL confirmed that any such unfair expenses will continue to be excluded from all upcoming electricity tariff revisions.
This is the local news on Gold FM.
Meanwhile, opposition leader Sajid Premadasa says that the loss from importing substandard coal might be shifted onto the public either directly or indirectly. He said this while addressing a gathering in Hambantota, and in the interest of clarity, we refrained from dubbing his remarks.
දසලක්ෂ සංඛ්‍යාත ජනතාව රවට්ටලා බලයට ආපු මේ ජනාධිපතිවරයා ප්‍රමුඛ ආණ්ඩුව අද අපොහොසත් වෙලා තිබෙනවා බඩු මිල ප්‍රශ්නෙට විසඳුමක් ලබා ගන්න. ගෑස්, ඉන්ධන, බෙහෙත් හේත් පොහොර මිල පහත දමන්න වහා කටයුතු කරනවා. ජනතාවට ජීවත් වෙන්න අමාරුයි. හැබැයි අනිත් පැත්තෙන් තමන්ගේ සෝචකීකරු ගෝලබාලය යොදවාගෙන ගල්ලංගුරු වංචාවක් නම් ඉතාමත්ම ශක්තිමත්ව කාර්යක්ෂමව ක්‍රියාත්මක කරනවා. එක පැත්තකින් අපි සතුටු වෙනවා මහජන උපයෝගිතා කොමිසම ප්‍රසිද්ධ ප්‍රකාශයක් කරලා තියෙනවා. ගල්ලංගුරු වංචාවේ බර පාරිභෝගිකයාගේ හිස මත පටවන්නේ නැහැයි කිය. නමුත් අපිට සැකයක් තිබෙනවා. මේ බාල ගල්ලංගුරු පාවිච්චි කරලා ඒ තුලින් ඇතිවෙන විදුලි අඩුපාඩුව ජෙනරේටර් හරහා ඉන්ධන හරහා නිපදවන්නට යනකොට අනිවාර්යෙන්ම අලාභයක් සිද්ධ වෙනවා. අනිවාර්යෙන්ම මේ අලාභේ බර කරට ගන්න වෙන්නේ ජනාධිපතිවරයාටවත් කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයටවත් නොවේ. එනට 75 ලක්ෂයක් විදුලි පාරිභෝගිකයෝ.
If someone believes that the Indian Ocean is safe from the Middle East war, it is a mistake. A vessel was blown up in the ocean, bringing the war closer to Sri Lanka. Against this backdrop of a declining world order, blocs such as BRICS and the Indian Ocean Rim Association can play a crucial role in ensuring global security. These thoughts were expressed by former Indian State Minister of External Affairs M.J. Akbar as he addressed the 9th Indian Ocean Conference. The event on its first day was addressed by Indian External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar. He highlighted the necessity of collaboration between Indian Ocean states in protecting maritime spaces.
No single Indian Ocean state capable can preserve and protect the maritime space alone. The complex challenges demand a shared commitment, one that is rooted in cooperation, in transparency, and above all, in respect for international law. We must view the Indian Ocean as a global commons where not only the benefits are shared, but so too are the responsibilities. Our efforts must be pursued through strong institutional networks. The Information Fusion Center, Indian Ocean Region, IFC IOR, enables real-time maritime information sharing, enhancing domain awareness and operational coordination among partner countries. Regional platforms such as the Indian Ocean Rim Association, IORA, the Indian Ocean Indo-Pacific Oceans Initiative, IPOI, BIMSTEC, Colombo Security Conclave, and the Indian Ocean Naval Symposium all provide structured avenues for dialogue, for cooperation, and for capacity building.
Former Indian State Minister of External Affairs M.J. Akbar, who addressed the conference on the second day, commented on how vulnerable the Indian Ocean is due to the Middle East war.
We are seeing today is the first time that a serious war is being fought over oil and water. And this brings me to the point that oil is impotent without water because production is meaningless without supply. If you think that Ukraine is not somehow connected to this and it's not part of a worldwide phenomenon, then I would just ask you just to glance at a bit of geography. Next to Crimea is Chechnya and Dagestan. Just south of Dagestan is the Caucasus. From Caucasus you enter Syria. From Syria, Palestine is not far away. From Palestine you come to the Red Sea, the Houthis, who are active participants via Iran or sometimes without Iran. Before this, without it. And this has developed into what I have called in an essay, the War of the Five Seas. Mediterranean, Caspian, Black Sea, Red Sea, and Arabian Sea. And those of you who are under the illusion that the Arabian Sea and its contiguous waters, the Indian Ocean, are somehow sanitized from this war, you might want to remember that a ship was blown up in the Indian Ocean. The war has come next to Sri Lanka, so Singapore, my friend, is not that far away.
He is of the view that blocs such as BRICS can play a role in bringing global peace and stability.
The crisis deeply rooted in the collapse of the world order. Once the sovereignty of a nation state can be violated and is violated by the guardians of security, then the world order becomes extremely vulnerable and we are on the point of collapse because both the idealism and the institutions, as represented by United Nations or on a military level, the institutions created like NATO, all have either in a melting pot or have disappeared. And it is this larger crisis which brings the challenge before us, both at the thinking level and at the implementation level, is how do we go about creating a world order? Because the world created under Pax Americana in 1946 is gone. What is going to replace it? And I think we need to put our thinking caps on and see whether the institution that we have, like BRICS, like IORA, can play a part in bringing together significant parts of world leaderships, no world leader anymore, world leaderships into finding some semblance by which we may protect the 21st century.
Special train services are operational for the public to travel to their hometowns and return after the New Year. This is according to the Department of Railways. Meanwhile, the National Transport Commission also initiated a special transport plan for people travelling to their hometowns. The Commission further stated that 489 additional long-distance buses were operated yesterday alone.
Now for some news in brief.
Police issued an urgent warning to the public to avoid drunk driving and reckless behavior during the New Year season.
The business news on Gold FM.
Analysts predict the global oil market will plunge into a supply deficit this year as the war in Iran erases previous forecasts of oversupply. A Reuters poll of 8 experts suggests demand will outpace supply by an average of 750,000 barrels per day throughout 2026. The conflict, which began in February, effectively halted flows through the Strait of Hormuz, a vital passage for one-fifth of global oil consumption. The International Energy Agency reports that the war removed roughly 11 million barrels per day from the market by late March. While a ceasefire began on Tuesday, tankers remain stranded in the Gulf with an estimated 136 million barrels of crude stuck in transit. Experts warn that clearing this backlog faces significant hurdles, including high insurance risks and potential new transit fees imposed by Iran.
International news on Gold FM.
Iranian Speaker of Parliament Mohammad Bagher Ghalibaf demands that Washington demonstrate its reliability following high-level talks in Pakistan. His comments come after the peace talks between the two countries in Islamabad failed this morning and their respective officials left Pakistan. Writing on social media, the head of the Iranian delegation notes that while Tehran entered negotiations in good faith, a history of conflict ensures zero confidence in the American position. Ghalibaf reports that despite several forward-looking initiatives from his team, the United States failed to provide the necessary assurances to bridge the diplomatic gap. He maintains that Iran remains committed to securing the strategic gains achieved during its recent period of national defense. Meanwhile, Iranian spokesperson Ismail Baghei said that immediate agreement between the US and Iran was never anticipated. He described a negotiating atmosphere defined by deep suspicion and doubt following 40 days of conflict. Despite the recent ceasefire, he stated that a single session was unlikely to produce a breakthrough. Baghei maintained that while no one held high expectations for a swift resolution, the path of diplomacy remains open. In the meantime, addressing media in Islamabad following talks, the US Vice President said Iran chose not to accept their terms.
We've had a number of substantive discussions with the Iranians. That's the good news. The bad news is that we have not reached an agreement, and I think that's bad news for Iran much more than it's bad news for the United States of America. So we go back to the United States having not come to an agreement. We've made very clear what our red lines are, what things we're willing to accommodate them on, and what things we're not willing to accommodate them on, and we've made that as clear as we possibly could, and they have chosen not to accept our terms.
Vance said that they made their stance clear with regard to Iran's nuclear program.
We need to see an affirmative commitment that they will not seek a nuclear weapon, and they will not seek the tools that would enable them to quickly achieve a nuclear weapon. That is the core goal of the President of the United States, and that's what we've tried to achieve through these negotiations. Again, their nuclear program, such as it is, the enrichment facilities that they had before, they've been destroyed. But the simple question is, do we see a fundamental commitment of will for the Iranians not to develop a nuclear weapon, not just now, not just 2 years from now, but for the long term? We haven't seen that yet. We hope that we will.
When quizzed about discussions on unfreezing Iran's assets, this is what the US Vice President had to say.
We talked about all those issues, Jen, and we talked about a number of issues beyond that, and so certainly those things came up, but again, we just could not get to a situation where the Iranians were willing to accept our term.
Vance, however, omitted any mention of the Strait of Hormuz during this press conference. While the current conditional ceasefire relies on safe passage through the region, Iranian Deputy Parliament Speaker Hajj Babei asserted total control over the area. Reports from the Mehr news agency indicate Tehran views the strait as a red line, with officials demanding that all transit tolls be paid in Iranian currency. Meanwhile, following failed negotiations, British Prime Minister Keir Starmer urged both Iran and the US to find a way through. In a conversation with Sultan of Oman, Starmer says a continuation of the ceasefire is vital and that all parties avoided any further escalation. In the meantime, Russian President Vladimir Putin, in a phone call with Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian, said he is ready to help facilitate a political and diplomatic settlement in the Middle East following failed US-Iran talks in Pakistan. Since the beginning of the war, over 3,300 people have been killed in Iran. The Iranian Legal Medicine Organization identified 3,375 bodies, including 2,875 men and 496 women. Data shows the highest casualty figures in Tehran, Hormozgan, and Isfahan. Hundreds of children remain among the victims, alongside several foreign nationals.
entertainment news on Gold FM.
The legendary Indian playback singer Asha Bhosle passed away in a Mumbai hospital following a heart attack. Her death at 92 signifies the conclusion of a monumental era in music history. Throughout a career exspanning 8 decades, Bhosle recorded over 12,000 tracks, a feat earning her a Guinness World Record. Known for a vibrant and versatile voice, she collaborated with international stars and influenced global culture. While her sister, the late Lata Mangeshkar, represented classical precision, Bhosle brought a bold energy to iconic hits such as Dum Maro Dum. Her passing leaves a void in the cinematic world where her melodies served as a soundtrack for generations.
Sports news on Gold FM.
It is reported that fast bowler Matisha Patirana cleared his fitness assessments today. This development clears the way for Sri Lanka Cricket to issue the necessary no objection certificate. Patirana now prepares to join the Kolkata Knight Riders squad for the current IPL season. That's it for the news in detail, and have a good evening.